This is the story of Final Fantasy XIV, patch 3.4, Soul Surrender. Now where we left off, Nidhogg's eyes were thrown into the abyss, and there was a peaceful revolution in Ishgard. Let's get started. With Ishgard finally at peace, Sir Aymeric invites the Warrior of Light to his manor for a meal and good conversation.
I must say, your spirited accounts always come as a welcome change from the arid reports which fill my days.
Aymeric praises the hero and thanks him for all his services to Ishgard. After some time, a knight enters the room.
Lord Commander, pray forgive the interruption.
He says the hero's friends brought an injured maiden to Manor Fortant and they've asked for him to come right away.
You must go to them, my friend, and I shall go with you.
Thancred explains that he was tracking the Warriors of Darkness, and so was Allisae, Alphino's twin sister, but then she was caught.
I rescued her in the XIIswood, and together we fled north. But though I made every effort to cover our tracks, they caught up with us on the Ishgardian border, and in the ensuing struggle, Allisae took an arrow to the shoulder. 'Twas only after we had made good our escape that I realized it was poisoned.
Alphino says they're doing what they can, but for now they have to wait. Then he tells a bit about her. He says she wanted to walk her own path and not join the Scions.
For all our differences, she's as dedicated as any Scion to the salvation of Eorzea. But more than that, she is my sister.
Aymeric is moved and orders that she be placed under the care of their best chirurgeons in the infirmary. She speaks up and says the Scions and the Warriors of Darkness are working together to slay primals as part of some larger plan.
They make for Xelphatol to bring about Garuda's summoning, and to kill her.
Thancred and Allisae go to the infirmary while Alphino discusses the primal. He doesn't understand the scheme with the Warriors of Darkness, but says they must stop the primal regardless. Count Fortant says his knights can help clear a path through Ixal territory so they can reach Xelphatol, and Alphino thanks him. The hero fights his way through Xelphatol, slaying many Ixal and other hostile amphibians. At the peak, he defeats the Ixal Xelphatol before Garuda was even summoned.
So they were unable to see the ritual to its completion. Then Garuda is no longer a threat, and whatever the Scions and the Warriors of Darkness were planning has come to naught.
You'd better not have killed the primal without us.
You've been awfully busy since we were kind enough to spare your lives.
Alphino asks why they work with the Scions, and the Warrior of Darkness explains. He recalls the Sundering, where the source planet was divided into 13 reflections. He says their home is the first reflection, and they were the Warriors of Light, but in their world, the power of light was far greater than that of dark. They defeated all the Scions and believed they had saved their world.
And then came the light, a flood of pure, blinding radiance, annihilating shadow and color and life itself. Ere long, it will consume our world, leaving naught in its wake but blank perfection.
Do you honestly expect us to believe such a story?
He insists it's true, then says the only way to restore the balance and save his world is to set in motion a calamity that would rejoin the worlds.
You would doom our world to save your own? What would even become of us? Of you?
You know our cause. You know what is at stake. We are prepared to do whatever it takes. Are you?
The hero and Alphino return to Ishgard.
Allisae, how are you feeling?
Well enough, brother. Thanks to the kindness of our hosts.
The hero tells them of their success in stopping the primal at Xelphatol and about their meeting with the Warriors of Darkness. They have trouble making sense of the Warrior of Darkness's words, but admit there's a seed of truth in them. Allisae explains she began following them when they heard that a new band of adventurers had arrived and was slaying primals.
Forgive me, but if these Warriors of Darkness mean to bring about another calamity, to what end do they hunt primals?
To prompt an escalation. To deepen the beast tribe's feelings of helplessness and despair, and thereby drive them to summon ever more powerful gods.
It should come as no surprise, but Allisae and I have uncovered evidence that the Scions have been manipulating certain parties to ensure that a constant stream of crystals flows into the hands of the beast tribes.
Y'shtola and Kryl decide to look into severing the crystal supply from the Ixal, and Sir Aymeric agrees to investigate the Nath's crystal supply, accompanied by Thancred. The hero and the twins decide to consult with Urianger, but first, Tataru gives Allisae a new outfit. At the Waking Sands, Alphino tells Urianger about the Warriors of Darkness and the need to stop primals before they are summoned. Urianger says there are rumors of the return of Titan, which they agree to look into, but Allisae eyes him suspiciously before they leave. At Camp Overlook, a watchman named Bloedin says the local kobolds have been acting aggressive lately, and they've even seen them sneaking around the camp. The heroes find one named Gabu running around and question him. It turns out he's actually here to ask the Maelstrom for help stopping the summoning, as his own parents were taken as sacrifices. Alphino tells Bloedin to inform the Maelstrom, while the heroes plan to infiltrate the kobold hideout, accompanied by Gabu. Gabu takes the heroes to all the secret stashes of crystals they've been hiding, and the heroes take them. Alphino notices a seal of Ishgard on the crate that someone tried to remove, meaning that these crystals came from far away via outside help. At the next stash, they find the crystals have been moved and deduce that the summoning is about to begin. Alphino takes the crystals they've confiscated back to Camp Overlook, while the others fight through the kobold camp. They reconvene at Ogomoro, the site where the Kobold Patriarch plans to summon Titan. Gabu runs to his dead parents, and the Patriarch says they all belong to the Lord of Crags, who will protect them from the Overdwellers. Alphino tries to reason with him to stop his course, but the Patriarch doesn't believe him and summons Titan anyway. The heroes take Gabu and escape, but the Warrior of Light returns to face down Titan once again. After a second lengthy battle, he is once again victorious. The hero returns to Camp Overlook to report to Alphino. He is thankful, but they turn to Gabu and find him silent and still. The twins fear that he may be tempered and have to be executed, but for now they ask the hero to report back to Bloedin. The hero updates Bloedin, who then offers that they stay the night in his camp. That night, the hero finds Allisae stargazing with silent Gabu by her side. She ponders her grandfather's sacrifice for Eorzea and quotes what he said to her father when he left Sharlayan.
To ignore the plight of those one might conceivably save is not wisdom, it is indolence. We must all protect that which we hold most dear in the manner of our own choosing.
The hero and Allisae exchange tales of their adventures.
As long as the sun rises, we can but carry on. For the sake of those we hold dear.
Meanwhile, a masked man reports to the Warrior of Darkness about Titan having been slain, and that with Ishgard at peace, the Scions are undistracted and only going to thwart their efforts more.
Are you sure you don't welcome them? I'm starting to think you might hold a candle for your old friends after all.
Pray do not mistake mine intent. I but look upon the path which lieth before us with due trepidation.
The masked man advises the Warrior of Darkness to focus on taking down the Warrior of Light.
Very well. Draw him out. We'll make it quick.
It shall be done. Full deeply though it paineth me to walk it, I shall not stray from my chosen path. As Moonbreeder remains steadfast, so too shall I.
The following morning, Alphino says that more crates with the seal of Ishgard rubbed off have been found, so he wishes to speak with Urianger some more. Before they depart, Allisae pleads with Bloedin to take care of Gabu. He appreciates Gabu's help earlier and agrees. Gabu breaks his long silence as he thanks Allisae and leaves with Bloedin. At the Waking Sands, Urianger reports on his studies. After having read a book recommended by Allisae, he found a passage that says that with each rejoining, everyone living on the reflection of the source would die, but their souls would be returned to the source, where they may one day be reborn. He says it might be the case that the alternative is worse, as the reflection being consumed by light or dark would result in a void. Before they can ponder this mystery further, more pressing news is revealed, that large quantities of crystals have been delivered to the Alamegan resistance. Further, the Ishgardian suppliers have been found to be associates of Ryu, aka the Ivy, who was captured a while back. Alphino's link pearl rings, and it's Thancred, who reports that those in Ishgard sending shipments to Alamigo have been apprehended, and he plans to meet the other heroes there. Alphino lingers a moment and wonders why his sister is treating Urianger like a stranger, but they move on. In Little Alamigo, the hero asks around for information and hears mentions of a new resistance leader called the Griffin, who always wears a mask. Gundobald, the leader in Little Alamigo, says the Griffin is charismatic and promising, but Gundobald fears he may be manipulating the people into doing something reckless. He mentions that the Griffin is soon to give a speech nearby, so the heroes head that way.
Brothers and sisters, 20 years ago, Alamigo, our home, was claimed by the Garlean Empire.
He gives an impassioned speech on how all of them, including himself, abandoned their fellow Alamegans to the Garlean Empire, and the Eorzean Alliance won't do anything to help either. The Griffin says they now have a chance to take their nation back.
This I promise you, for we have a power within us, my friends. A power befitting our pride, our righteousness. Only join us, and we shall grant you the means to unleash it, and together we shall see the Alamegan standard raised over the mountains of Gia Arbania once more!
A power befitting their pride. Not at all ominous, that.
What are you two doing here?
I could ask you the same thing.
They walk away from the crowd together so they can have a private conversation. Everyone mutually expresses joy in the reunion, then Ida and Papalymo explain their absence. They say the Alamegan resistance gave them shelter at great risk to themselves, so they've been assisting them in return. Papalymo tried to send a letter, but it appears it was intercepted by the Griffin's men. Alphino is surprised to learn that the Griffin does not want the Scions' help, and Papalymo mentions that the man they just watched was actually an imposter, not the real Griffin. After the hero explains why he's there, Ida and Papalymo say there's no way the Alamegans would plan to summon a primal, but the Griffin is different. The four of them decide to lure the false Griffin and question him. The heroes disguise themselves as poor adventurers willing to take up arms for Alamigo, and Ida introduces the false Griffin to them.
You must be the esteemed adventurers of whom I've heard so much. I understand you have taken an interest in our cause.
A great interest, you might say. Your words have certainly made quite an impression on my friend and I.
Shortly into the conversation, Alphino asks about the sizable shipment of crystals, and Yida asks where the real Griffin is.
Ah, the famous Scions of the Seventh Dawn. I should have known better than to think I could conceal the truth from you lot.
He explains that it's true that he's not the real Griffin, but he speaks at his behest, and they've procured the crystals at his request.
You are wrong, however, if you think that we procured them to summon a primal.
He says they're using them to pay the Amalja for aid in the fight for liberation. Ida says this is counterproductive.
When people find out you helped the Lizardmen summon Ifrit, they'll turn on the resistance. Alamigo will never be free!
He passionately defends his decision, saying they play differently now, as nothing was working before. He says they've already handed all the crystals over, so Ida and Papalymo decide to search the camp to verify. The false Griffin turns to the hero and thanks him for inspiring many of the resistance fighters to join the cause, and also for his help making medicine in Quarry Mill long ago. After he leaves, Papalymo cautions Ida not to be tempted to join their cause. Back in Little Alamigo, the hero finds Thancred and they update him on their findings. As they leave for the Amalja's village, the masked man watches from a distance, saying it's all in accordance with the Griffin's plan, and he hopes some unspecified opportunity is seized. The heroes get to the Amalja village only to find that the Warriors of Darkness beat them to it.
The saviors of Eorzea. Slow as ever.
They say they tire of their old plan and propose a new idea.
But killing the Warrior of Light, on the other hand, that would soon plunge Eorzea into chaos. One life for one world. A fair exchange! Wouldn't you agree?
If you would dare to stand against us, to destroy all that we hold dear, then you shall die by my sword!
It ends now. What? You snake! You would betray us as well?
My path is unchanged, my creed sacrosanct. This I believe with all my heart. But say, warrior of darkness, and speak true, what dost thou believe? That rendering up the souls of thy world in service to the rejoining will grant it salvation? Nay.
By the 12! Oriange!
Mine apologies, Master Alphino. That the brightest light might shine, duty did compel me to walk in darkest shade.
I expect a full explanation when this is over. For now, may I assume you have turned your cloak for the last time?
Thou mayest, my lady.
With Urianger on their side, the heroes engage the Warriors of Darkness for a glorious battle. At the end of the fight, the heroes channel their ether into Allisae's ether blade, and she swings the final blow.
We are far from finished. Or have you never considered how we came to this world?
As the Ascians flee unto the rift twixt plains with crystals of darkness, so did these warriors come hither with crystals of light.
Alphino deduces that the Warriors of Darkness must be dead, because this means of travel requires renouncing the flesh. They confirm that they gave their lives to save their world, and they will do it again and again until finished. The Warriors of Darkness invoke the power of the crystals, but so too does the hero, and this draws everyone present directly to the word of the Mother.
Mother Hydaelyn, hearken unto your children's plea. From two worlds do we gather, and from two worlds do we offer a bounty of light. In this desperate hour we do beseech your intercession. We beg an audience with the word of the Mother, with your chosen Minfilia.
Minfilia.
She says she will travel to the first reflection and stop the flood of light by absorbing the light into herself, but this enrages the Warrior of Darkness.
Now you deign to answer our prayers? I will suffer this farce no longer!
Your suffering, your sacrifice, your supplications. She has heard all. We will not let the first fall to light.
Urianger then reveals that he planned all of this, including the battle of light versus dark, in order to save the first reflection.
You orchestrated all of this, not to save her, but to send her away!
One life for one world. Such was the bargain, and you the coin, though it were not mine to spend.
Each and every one of you knows my heart. If this be the price I must pay, I pay it gladly.
Thancred is heartbroken but understanding.
Sometimes I forget you are not the child I once knew. Make me proud.
She gives the hero Tupsamadi, Louisoix's staff. The Warriors of Darkness ask to be returned home, and she agrees to it. The Warrior of Darkness advises the Warrior of Light.
We made our choice and you see what came of it, so please, forge a different path. Seize a better fate.
As Minfilia departs, she promises to see the heroes again one day, as they always safely returned when she used to worry about them.
Thank you, Lemine, for everything.
Returned to Thanalan, Thancred volunteers to find the remaining Ishgardian crystals, while Alphino leaves to check on Ida and Papalymo. Urianger apologizes for relying on deceit to achieve his goals, and Allisae forgives him, saying he achieved the greatest good while inflicting the least harm. They depart to rest. The hero catches up with Alphino, who's telling Ida and Papalymo everything that happened. Gundobald approaches, and fondly remembers Ida from 20 years prior, as he fought alongside her father for Alamigo, and he says she vanished. She says she joined the Scions, which had to be kept a secret at the time. She then departs abruptly for the Rising Stones, and the others follow after her. With every lost Scion now accounted for, they meet at the Rising Stones.
Our travels in the north brought us into contact with a host of fine and generous people. And their selfless deeds serve to show me that it is not lofty causes that should inform our actions, but our hearts.
Leaderless, they agree to work differently now, as a group of individuals who share a common purpose. Kryl and Allisae join the Scions, and after Urianger feels unworthy to stick around, Thancred encourages him, convincing him to stay. Later, Papalymo approaches the hero with a request.
My friends, if I may, I would ask that you entrust Tupsamadi to me.
The hero gives it to him, as Papalymo was once Louisoix's disciple. Meanwhile, the Griffin tells the false Griffin he's done a good job and he departs. Elidibus appears with a gift for the Griffin. Elsewhere, among Allagan ruins, Nero Tolskeva is gleeful after finding something he has sought for a long time. And patch 3.4 ends there. If you want to see what happens next, check out the story video on patch 3.5. See you next time.